and this one I call name association, a bit of a game. I'm going to give you a sentence, and it's probably just like a one-name answer. You just tell me the name that you think best fits that, the first one that comes to your mind. Funniest person in the locker room?
Probably Kurt Hennig.
Fine answer. And you may not know because it gets a bit blurry at this time of night, but the last man standing at the bar.
Yeah, I closed down quite a few of them. Guys that were there with me. Mike Graham was always there with me. I mean, he would be drunk. I'd have to carry him out. Rotundo could drink too. He could drink pretty well.
Right, this might need a bit of an explanation, but who was the best shot at shooting road signs while you were driving past them?
I was. I could hit them from the driver's side. I drove convertibles. I could hit them that way. I get them through the side window, and I would try to do them as fast as I could too. So like 90 and 100 miles an hour. And I could hit the small little marker signs that had the numbers on them for the miles.
Are we talking yards? How many yards away could you nail one of them suckers while driving?
Let's see the shoulder, and then they're off the road. Probably maybe 40, 50 feet, outside of the car, and as you're going that fast.
There you go. I've never asked that question before. I'm so glad you had a good answer for me as well. The smelliest wrestler you ever got in the ring with?
Leon Vader.
You're not the first person.
He never washed his gear.
You are not the first person to say Vader. The stiffest wrestler you ever faced?
Kevin Sullivan is pretty stiff, and he does a stomp where he stomps on your stomach, and he thinks he's working it, but he's not. He's touched my belly button to my spine at least 10 times, and it's just terrible. And even if you tense up, it's coming.
This is a new question as well that someone suggested. The biggest sandbagger who would just never go up for moves?
Oh. I'm not going to say who. Well, I will. I'll say it was Larry Zbyszko. Yeah, I worked with Larry later in his career, and he wanted to walk and talk in the match, and I wanted to, take bumps and sell and go outside the ring. So Larry sandbagged on me quite a bit.
Naughty Larry. I've interviewed him once before as well. He was great. I hope to interview him again. I'm going to give you a few more, and then we'll move on to sort of the finale, I think. Most memorable backstage fight? Let's see. Fights that I was in, I fought Manny Fernandez one time because he stole my pickup truck while I was gone, and he sold it. So I got back and I had no car. So I punched him in the head at the Sportatorium, and that was about the max of that fight. And, I would say that's about it. I wasn't around a lot of fights and stuff. Still, it's a good reason.
My old man. My old man just beating up Ole.
Good to say, it's a great reason to punch Manny. I think that's fair enough. Nicest man in wrestling, or nicest person in wrestling, too nice for the business?
Well, I probably have to go with Bobby Eaton again. Bobby was just all around good guy.
Yeah. The town with the most eager ladies?
I'd have to say Miami.
The most dangerous situation you ever found yourself in? Could be wrestlers, could be with fans.
I was in Puerto Rico, and I had just worked with Carlos Colon on the last match. And before I went up to the ring, I told my brother, I was there with my brother, Rotundo. I told him, I said, go get in the car and have the car wait, and I'll come straight from the ring out to the car. Well, Carlos was always bleeding and bloody and all that, and I was bleeding. We finished our match, and I leave to go out, and the crowd is letting out too. And I was the heel over there in the match against Carlos. So they started coming after me, and I'm looking for Rotundo, and I see him, and he's about 400 yards away, and he's flashing his lights, and the stadium is letting out. It's a baseball stadium, and there's thousands of people. Well, I'm at the front and I'm in my boots and my tights and I'm running, trying to get in the car. I'm looking behind me. They start running. I start running. I ran all the way to the car. Rotundo had turned it around to the right. They had the window down. I dove in the window and we got out of there just before they got to me. But, you always hear horror stories in Puerto Rico about people getting stabbed. And it was just, it had just that vibe to it. I could feel it in the crowd. They were hot at me, and I got out of there as quick as I could.
All you had to say was Puerto Rico. I was like, "Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about." Yeah. I do a weekly show with Dutch Mantel as well. So the amount of Puerto Rico stories he's lived through.
Yeah, he had some input on that.
Yeah. This one you might not have an answer for, but I'll ask it anyway. Loudest spot caller.
Sid Vicious.
Really?
Yeah, we were in one of the War Games matches, and he's calling a spot to Arn just as loud as I'm talking right now in the middle of the ring. Arn looked at him, I looked at him, like, what the fuck are you doing? he's like basically hollering out spots.
I'll because you mentioned Sid, and I always love a good Sid story. I mean, did you spend any time with Sid? He's someone with some idiosyncrasies that I'm led to believe.
I was never really around Sid that much. He and Rotundo traveled together. They were good friends, but I was never really traveled with Sid or was around him very much.
No. Okay, I'll ask you a couple more. Biggest ribber?
Probably either Kurt or Owen.
Mm-hmm. Now, just because you mentioned Owen Hart, I've written a book about Owen Hart. It's somewhere. I can't advertise it, but in a match with you, he rolls his own ankle. Do you remember that match?
No, I don't remember that specific match.
It was early '98, and I think he's doing like the 10 punches in the corner. And he just jumps off the second rope and just rolls his ankle, and he ends up in a boot for like a month and a half. It's just funny that the smallest things are the ones that get you when you're just not quite paying attention.
Yeah. I hope I didn't have anything to do with that.
No, you had nothing.
Never mentioned it to me, yeah.
No, you had nothing to do with it. He just landed wrong on his own. I'll give you one more. The most talented wrestler you ever worked with.
Probably Brad Armstrong. Brad was just, he was brought up in the business. He had a bunch of brothers in the business, dad. Brad could just go, and he just never got that break. He was a really talented competitor.
And I'm surprised you never said funniest as well, because he's the name that comes up more than any other for funniest wrestler.
Yeah, he was a real sharp wit.